right, three things very quickly. Number one, there was a mob that has gathered outside the home of Jeff Sessions in Louisville, Kentucky. Okay, by the time I'm reporting this, they've dissipated, gone home, vanished, but we're going to tell you about the story. Number two is this. We're going to show you a very brief video that's maybe 18 seconds long. And then number three, we're going to actually read you the letter written by Coretta Scott King back in 1980, I think it was 1989, when she, in my opinion, falsely accused Jeff Sessions by, what is the word I'm looking for? Insinuating that he was a racist, which is absolutely disgusting. Okay, so what brings all this up? What brings this up is United States Senator Pocahontas, retard from Massachusetts, got up in front of the Senate and began impugning the character of Jeff Sessions. But she didn't have the courage or character to do it herself, so instead she evoked the memory of Coretta Scott King by reading a letter that King had written many, many years ago, last century as a matter of fact. So she was objectifying Coretta Scott King, well, thinking that they're not going to shush me because it's not me speaking, it's Coretta Scott King speaking. How dare them? They would never, ever, because Coretta Scott King is like a god. They're not going to shush a god. Well, she was wrong. They shushed her. She got up and started reading the letter, which we're going to read in just a second. And basically, she was told to shut up and sit down. All right, well, these pinhead liberals, a mob of them, gathered outside the home of Mitch McConnell to express their outrage. According to photos released by Huffington Post front page editor Phil Lewis, a large crowd is gathered outside Mitch McConnell's home in Louisville, Kentucky. The crowd is reportedly reading the letter Coretta Scott King wrote about now Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Okay, let's take a look at this video. That was posted on Twitter by somebody, let me put his name on the screen, somebody named Nathaniel Gardner. And he writes about 200 demonstrators, Louisville, Kentucky, rally crowd still growing. Of course it is. Okay, let's take a look at this video. And these people have this incredible ability to stand sideways. Or then again, maybe the camera was held sideways. But anyhow, let's hear what they have to say. Okay, maybe we ought to start at the beginning.
We're warned! And even though we were given an explanation.
Okay, let's stop midway through this. Okay, here's something that, a question that I got to ask. How can these people possibly know what they're saying? How could they possibly engage their brains? If you go to my website, click on the link that says something to the effect Ken's Laws, then you'll see this. And one of my laws is think about what you're talking about before you talk about what you're thinking about. What these people are doing is they are violating that law. They have a cheerleader that gets in front, and you see this all the time. Wherever there's this mob of left-wing lunatics, almost always you see the same thing. Some cheerleader will get up and yell something, and then everybody will repeat it. How could they possibly know what they're saying? Because they don't know until they say it. I mean, literally split second before it comes out of their mouth, they're just repeating like monkeys what somebody else said, like apes. They're just aping it. Okay, parrots, monkeys don't talk, but you know what I mean. All right, and that's what we see here. Some cheerleader gets up and yells something, and everybody else repeats them. They cannot possibly know what they're about to say until they say it.
We were warned! And even though we were given an explanation.
And even though we were given an explanation. Repeat after me.
And even though we were given an explanation. We are still persisting. We are still persisting.
We are still persisting. Now, what happens next is somebody yells woo, and everybody repeats woo. See, woo, then they'll woo. Whatever the cheerleader says, they repeat. That is so typical of liberals. They don't think. They do not engage their brains. They just repeat nonsense. Anytime you try to engage a liberal in a conversation, with very few exceptions, all they're doing is they're just regurgitating garbage that somebody has put into their brain. And you see this almost every time they have these goofy demonstrations. Some cheerleader gets up, yells something, and they just repeat it. Brain dead. I mean, just brain dead. All right, let's go over and take a look at the letter that Coretta Scott King wrote. This is the letter that Pocahontas tried to read in the Senate because she wanted to impugn the character of Jeff Sessions, and she thought, okay, if I read this letter by Coretta Scott King, I can, Coretta Scott King will vicariously through me trash Jeff Sessions, and I'm going to get away with it. But no, she didn't. They told her to shut up and sit down. Okay, this was dated March 19th, 1986. I thought it was 1989. Silly me. Okay, it is written to Senator Strom Thurmond. It is signed by Coretta Scott King. It's written in English, obviously. And she writes, Dear Senator Thurmond, who is the chairman of the Committee on the Judiciary. And she's opposing the the appointment of the confirmation, I should say, of Jeff Sessions back in 1986. She says, I write to express my sincere opposition to the confirmation of Jefferson B. Sessions as the federal district court judge for the Southern District of Alabama. Then she goes on and says, my professional and personal roots in Alabama are deep and lasting. What does that have to do with anything? I don't know. Anyone who has used the power of his office as United States Attorney to intimidate and chill the free exercise of the ballot by citizens should not be elevated to our courts. Okay, so she is accusing Jeff Sessions of using his office as United States Attorney to intimidate and chill the free exercise of the ballot. How did he do that? Well, first of all, what does the word chill mean? They put a chill. That's just an abstract that has zero meaning whatsoever. It's kind of like they use the terms like dog whistle, and they talk about they like to use terms like microaggressions, all these words and concepts that are meaningless. Glass ceiling. There is no glass ceiling. That's just an abstract. It's nonsense. It's meaningless. Same thing with chill. Okay, so how did he intimidate voters? Well, she doesn't explain. Mr. Sessions has used the awesome powers of his office in a shabby attempt to intimidate and frighten elderly black voters. Geez, I wonder why he just chose elderly black voters. Why didn't he intimidate young black voters? Do elderly black votes count more than young black voters? Maybe. I know Coretta Scott King is a god, and she lived in sinless perfection and could never make a mistake. Nor could she lie. But somehow I think maybe she wasn't all that perfect. For his reprehensible conduct, he should not be rewarded with a federal judgeship. Okay, so his reprehensible conduct was he scared elderly white people and he put a chill on them. But I don't see any documentation. I don't see any evidence. Geez, I wonder why. Maybe the almighty, perfect Coretta Scott King was just flat out lying. Is that conceivably possible? No, it's not, because you have to honor these people as if they were gods. That's why Pocahontas read this letter, because she knew nobody would dare speak out against Coretta Scott King. Well, she gambled and lost because they told her to shut up and sit down. Okay, and then King went on and she wrote, I regret that a long-standing commitment prevents me from appearing in person to testify against this nominee. However, I have attached a copy of my statement opposing Mr. Sessions' confirmation, and I request that my statement, as well as this letter, be made part of the hearing record. I do sincerely urge you to oppose the confirmation of Mr. Sessions. Coretta Scott King. So this is the letter that Pocahontas wanted to read. Why was she doing this? She was doing it so she could, once again, vicariously use Coretta Scott King to slander, slime, demean the character of Jeff Sessions, when in fact the guy was not a racist. He's never been a racist. He is not a racist. He did not put a chill on the voting rights of elderly black voters in Alabama or anywhere else. It just did not happen. So that tells us that Coretta Scott King is a liar. But you can't say that because it's politically incorrect. You have to honor and worship. I mean, there are some people, you cannot question them. Coretta Scott King, Martin Luther King, and Rosa Parks. They're icons. They are demigods. We are to worship them. We got a little pantheon of wonderfulness. Okay, that's so. Anyhow, we have these goofballs in Louisville, Kentucky, rallying outside the home of Mitch Mcconnell, making idiots of themselves, proving they're brain dead by repeating after me some stupid chant or whatever. They cannot possibly be engaging their brains. So what we get out of all this is the abject shallowness of liberal ideology, of their worldview. I mean, there's just no substance there. There just is no substance. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share it on social media. Lower right-hand corner, there's a little red button that says subscribe. Click on that to subscribe. And don't forget to leave comments in the comment section below.
How to subscribe. Click subscribe. Click the bell. Check the box. Save.